Continuing on our lesson with the colored pencil details on our brick wall, I've started putting more detail into the wall, and I'll show you what I'm doing. First of all, these are the colors that I'm using here. Blue Violet Lake, white, raw umber, cream, yellow ochre, warm gray 10%, and warm gray 50%. So to enhance the shadows and make more contrast between the shadows and the very bright sunshine hitting the brick wall, I'm using Blue Lake to go over the existing shadows. The Blue Lake it leans toward the violet side, and when you contrast that with the yellow that's in the bricks on the wall, it makes a nice color combination because purple and yellow are opposite on the color wheel. When you're using opposites on the color wheel, you have more dynamic paintings. You can neutralize colors with each other to make your grays. For instance, red and green, purple and yellow, orange and blue, yellow and violet. And now is where we have to start drilling down into smaller details. For instance, in this sunstruck area right here, you can see the shape of leaves casting the shadow, and it connects right down in and casts over the sign. Looking at the reference photo on my Kindle or on any kind of a screen, a tablet, your telephone, not telephone, your smartphone, where you have photos, it's so much easier to see little details that you can drill in on than it is just using a printout. Okay, so you get the idea that I'm enhancing the shadows with Blue Violet Lake. Now I'm going to come up with white and go over the sunstruck areas and try to make more of a diffused transition to the shadow. They're not all just hard edges. I've also done that up on this brick as well. This is all very time-consuming work, as you know. If you work in colored pencil, it's just very time-consuming. And of course, now we're slowing down to drill into the detail. With the watercolor, we were much more spontaneous, but now we're getting into little details. Okay, and then there's more detail in the brick. This wall is just very old. It looks like it's been painted a number of times with different colors of paint, and a lot of it is peeling off. You can't capture every detail. I don't think you would want to either, but we can be a little bit more detailed up in here. I'm adding sand now to the list of pencils that I told you I was using. We could take sand, we can use yellow ochre, and put a little bit more of these areas where the white paint has peeled off and it's revealing yellow brick underneath it. But none of it looks like the building was just built and it's all in perfect condition, because it's not. It's very old. It's very textured. So we don't want to make it look pristine like it was just built. But we can add more of a look of bricks here, or paint coming off of underlying brick. And occasionally you can see the lines between the bricks. And for that, I'm using raw umber, such as here, where paint has peeled right off down to the original brick, is what it looks like to me. It's all very sketchy, and it's just little marks. But when you apply all of it, it just makes it look a little bit more real. I'm going to come underneath the bottom of the sign here. Pull it down just a little bit. Enhancing the shading a little bit next to the letter. Remember that as we go darker on shading, we don't want to cover up everything that we did before. So every time you go darker, you're going to apply less, you're going to cover less area than you did with the previous value. We don't want to cover up everything. We want to, as we're going darker, make smaller and smaller areas. As we're going lighter, make smaller and smaller areas. So we're stacking our color, not coloring over everything we just did, where there'd be no reason to keep changing colors. Using warm gray 50%, I can come into the sign that's painted on the brick wall and add some of the same kind of lines in here that we were putting up in here, except that this is gray. Very light touch here. This is dark. I'm thinking it's too dark. I'm going to switch down to the 10% warm gray. And then I'm going to go over that lightly with the Blue Violet Lake. So you're going to carry on like that for the rest of that sign. I don't want to take all the time to show every single stroke I take with a pencil, or we'll be here forever. But you're getting the idea of what I'm doing. Back to white to blend some of this. And with the warm gray 50%, you can put in some of these little indications that this is actually a brick wall that this was painted on. We don't want to go in and draw every single individual brick. It's just a suggestion that this is a brick wall. That's all we really have to say here. And it's a here and there kind of thing, you know, and just here and there scattered around. It's not anything that you would take a ruler and try to grid off bricks or anything like that. Then going on to the areas of peeled paint, I'm picking up cream and I'm going to put that in the lightest area of the brick. And I'm going to pick up sand, put some of that. Raw umber, and I'm going to lightly put a shadow right underneath the dark line, very lightly. And with white, I'm going to go right on the opposite side of the line. Making the contrast like this, where you've got the white on the outside of the line. It's actually on, it's on the brick wall, just outside of the line. And it takes some warm gray, 10%. The point I'm trying to make here is it will look more dimensional, as if this is paint that is peeled up and sticking up a little bit with the light and dark contrast. So I'm going to continue working this area until I'm satisfied that this part is done, and then I will be back. Okay, I've been working on this for a while now. I want to catch you up to what I've done, and then we'll move along. I continued to enhance my shadows with the violet, or the blue violet lake on the wall. Using my greens, I went back in and made the leaves a little bit pointier to make them a little bit more defined. I added some violet, plain violet, into the very dark areas of the leaves. I used a combination of colors to add more bricks into the wall. I used cream and sand and quite a bit of peach beige, just adding more bricks, adding more bricks. I took light umber in the sunstruck area to put the darker marks in between the bricks. And then I took white and went on top of that to lighten up the whole area over there where it's so sunstruck. Down here next to the piano, I added peach beige, sand, and a little bit of light umber. It's not real sunny behind the piano there, so I'm leaving that a bit darker. I think that catches up what I've been up to. I still need to finish the work on the sign here. And I guess we could do that now. I've got more work to do on the sign because I didn't get enough of the shadow color down where it was supposed to be. So I'm going in with 10% warm gray, and I'm going to add onto the shadow area in retrospect. I could have saved myself a lot of this color pencil time if I had been more careful with the watercolor to begin with and gotten it exactly where I should have had it. But we're working our way through this piece. trying to figure it out. Okay, now sharpen my white. And I'm going to come back in here and put some highlights in where the sun is striking. I'm going to have to go back and clean up the letters with a black pencil. That's okay. I'm using pretty hard pressure on the pencil at this point. I'm trying to blend the colors down. Might like to add just a bit more of the Blue Violet Lake. This is very light touch. And then I'm going to go over it with white again, just to blend. warm gray, 50%. Back to white. Again with heavy pressure, so I'm blending the colors I put down. And now that I've made a mess of my letters, I'm going to need to go back and put those in with black. I won't have you watch me put all these letters in, but you see what I'm doing. I'll be back. Okay, I have put my letters back in with black pencil, and while I had it in my hand, I went back and reinforced the black all around the outside of the sign. And next, with some green pencils, we're going to reinforce the green parts of the sign. I'm using Prussian green, true green, where it goes a little bit lighter as where the sun is striking. And light green for the lightest parts of the sunstruck. You want to blend your greens together so that it just looks like dappled sunlight. I really love that. That's pretty. There's little spots around, you can see where some sunshine pokes through the leaves and comes down and hits the wall and it illuminates that part of the stripe. So that's what I'm going to do around the sign. And I'll be back.